Hello and welcome to With 20 in Mind. I'm your host, Troy Bassham, along with Lanny Bassham. And today we're talking about letting your teammates down. It just so happens that, Lanny, you have a helpful tip on individuals on worrying about letting your teammates or your coaches down. What's your advice to them?
Well, my advice is that there's a high probability that that's going to happen.
I think you said earlier that it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, well, it's definitely going to happen. I mean, you are not going to always succeed, and you need to be prepared for the times when you're a quarterback and the receiver drops the ball, or you overthrow the receiver, or whatever it is that you're doing. You need to be prepared for success, and you need to be prepared for non-success, and your self-image needs to be protected at all times.
So this is a common issue for a lot of people who play team sports. It's definitely an issue for people who play collegiate sports. And working with a lot of athletes in high school and college, this is a common thing that comes up as far as I don't want to let my teammates down. Now, when you go into the upper end, like there's Olympic sports that are team sports, you definitely don't want to let your teammates down in that event. And then you're looking at your big major sports, football, baseball, basketball, etc. It's kind of elevated the higher level you go. But it seems to start young, not wanting to disappoint your coaches and teammates. I think it starts with not disappointing your parents. And you've always had an interesting take on that when you're athletes that are younger. Well, I don't want to disappoint my parents. Because some of these young athletes, I mean, we're talking about 12 to 15 years of age, they're more mature than their age, and they understand the sacrifices their parents are making financially, time and energy and effort that they're giving for them to have the opportunity to excel in a sport. And so it's very common to have these individuals like, well, I just don't want to disappoint my parents because they provide so much for me. I don't want to let them down. And your advice is pretty straightforward.
Well, I'm saying that I think it's a little bit different with parents in the sense that parents are not going to fire you unless you commit a felony or something like that. I mean, they're going to support you whether the task is whether you win a game or not. And most of the time, this is true. That the negative side of having a disappointing result is temporary. By the way, the positive side of having a positive result is temporary too. I mean, they don't give you extra points because you won the game last week when you play the game this week. They don't take points away because you lost the game last week. By the way, not worrying about how your teammates, not letting your teammates down. I was worried about that the first time I shot in the World Championships in Olympic rifle shooting. I was worried about that. That I was entered in a team event in the 1970 World Championships, and I was worried about letting my teammates down. And guess what? I did. I cost them. We ended up with 3 bronze medals, and if I'd have shot like my teammates did, we would have won 3 gold medals. So I'm responsible. I'm a good example of letting your teammates down. But that wasn't the end of my career.
So what'd you do?
Well, I think I learned. I tried to learn from those experiences. As a matter of fact, one of my dear friends helped me through that. He came over to me and he says, "What did that teach you?" And that told me I need to work harder to prepare for the World Championships. There are some things I learned that were valuable, and to focus on learning when you don't respond the way that you wanted to, what is this teaching you? And I think that's the real key here. And if you look at every competition, big or small, is an opportunity for you to succeed a little bit and to reinforce that, and also to learn when you don't succeed instead of beating yourself up or anything like that. So it's making a mistake is not a mental error. Making a mistake and learning from it is a requirement to get better.
Yeah, I also think that this particular thing could be an advantage. Worrying about not letting your teammates down could be a huge advantage. And I'll give you an example. In 1987, you remember where we were in 1987?
Well,
we went to the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary, and we had an interesting situation with the men's team because we had a junior make the open team, which is very rare that you have a junior. A junior is someone that's under 21 years of age. And so Matt Suggs, who was a collegiate shooter at the time, I think he was 19 or 20. I think he was 20. And he'd made the open team and was going and competing. He was so concerned about disappointing, his team, his country, that he trained more than he's ever trained. He goes, man, I made sure that I trained on a daily basis. I made sure that I followed my plan. I made sure that every single minute of training was productive because I'm not going to go to that match, and it's not going to be because of lack of preparation that I don't do well. Because, these guys are looking at, okay, what's this kid going to do? How are we going to win with the kid? And here's what was so interesting. He was the only one that went home with the medal.
Yeah.
He won a silver medal at the World Championships that year. Almost won the gold. Shot the best. I think he had the best final of any American at that point, and put himself in position to win. Darn near won it. Came home with a silver medal, and he was like, if it wasn't for that, fear of letting my teammates down, I don't think he would have trained as hard as he did. So I think in that perspective, it could be a benefit. Where it's not a benefit is going into the tournament with that mindset.
Yeah.
So what do you recommend if someone has that mindset of, oh my gosh, I definitely don't want to disappoint my teammates?
Well, I think that the solution to that issue is that to recognize the advantages and not let the disadvantages occur. You brought up one advantage that it causes you to work hard to make sure that this doesn't happen. And the second thing is that you're probably going to do this at some point, and how you handle it will determine how often this happens in the future. If this does happen, how are you going to handle it? You need to handle it and have a plan that if this happens, a contingency plan. If it happens that I have a bad shot, what do I do on a bad shot? Well, you immediately evaluate that shot, and then say to yourself, I need to. The only two things can happen to you in a match. You either win or you learn. Well, what is that teaching you? What can I learn from this? My career is a good example of this. So in 1972, I choked in the Olympics in 1972. Started out, I was scared to death. I didn't have a good start. But what I did during that is I, about halfway through it, I realized that nobody cares whether you're 4th place or 44th place in the Olympics. And I thought I was probably had a good chance of being 44th place at that point. And I just decided that I'm just going to go. I'm not trying to do anything. I just want to enjoy myself for the last half of the Olympics, and I ended up shooting better than anybody else. And I think you go back to your process. That's the answer. You make sure that you are learning from your mistakes and not beating yourself up because you made the mistake. It's all about process. It's all about thinking about how execution. How do I improve the execution, and not worrying about too much about outcome when you're competing.
So the keys to overcoming this concern about letting teammates down is, number one, the best thing you can do is train and prepare. 2, trust your preparation, follow the process that promotes that you get the result that you want. And the third would be, if you take care of yourself and they take care of what they can control, then you're probably going to work out just fine.
Yeah, I think there's a fourth one there, is to realize that your teammates, if they're good guys, are going to support you. Even because I pretty much guarantee you that it's happened to all of them too. Maybe the first time that they competed, like the first time I wore USA on my back, I was more worried about this than the second time I did that. But every person that the gun gods that I respected the most, all admitted to me that they had failed at the beginning of their path at some place. Now, I don't know what you consider failing is when but Lonis Wigger, the winningest rifle shooter in the history of the sport, had 3 rough years. His first 3 years on the marksmanship unit at AMU was kind of rough. And he ended up winning more medals than any rifle shooter in history, in his career. But it's not that these things can happen to a person. It's how you handle what happens to you. I think that's the key thing. If it comes, I can handle it. If it doesn't come. That's good, but
failure and learning from it is a requirement for success.
That's right.
I think that's a good approach to look at that. So if you're concerned about letting your teammates down, understand these concepts that Lanny is talking about. And if this information is something that you like, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And if you have a topic that you'd like for us to discuss in the future, please let us know. And until next time, take care.